Welcome to Not Another Wrestling Talk Show, the show for wrestling fans everywhere. Your hosts, as always, are Fog Jones, at the Fog Jones on X/Twitter, and the Masked J, Feed Your Mask on X/Twitter. Join us every week as we discuss the latest wrestling news, rumors, and reviews. So whether you're a casual fan or a hardcore enthusiast, Not Another Wrestling Talk Show is the show for you. If you enjoy the show, please subscribe, share, and hit the thumbs up and that bell for notifications on your favorite podcast platform. And don't forget to follow us on social media for the latest updates. Thanks for listening. And now, here are your hosts, Fog Jones and the Masked J.
What's going on, everybody? It is your favorite new talk show. This is Not Another Wrestling Talk Show, formerly known as the WrestlePod. Same guys. It's still me, Fog Jones. It's still the Masked J. We're rebranding already. Third episode in. Do plan on having a guest. Hopefully they join soon. But here's what's on the agenda for today. It's a lot to talk about as Uncle Howdy reveals himself to be the Masked J. We're going to be talking about the most recent big news for WWE, and there's actually a few things. Those being the layoffs, which we have the list here. We'll go through each of those superstars, talk about them in a little bit. Some of them more in depth than others. We are going to talk about the new WWE television / streaming rights deals that some are on the horizon, some we have some info on, such as SmackDown. We're going to talk a little bit about Jade Cargill, time in AEW versus the rumor and report that she will be signed or is signed to the WWE. We are going to do a little chatting on CM Punk, I think, because I see a lot of that going around, a lot of that buzz on X or Twitter, talking about him coming to WWE. What would that look like? How would it work? And then we'll go over just briefly at the end the upcoming schedule. There's a lot of stuff going on with the show. So we're trying to add some new things, tie some new things in. We have a lot of guests coming up, and we'll talk about that kind of towards the end. The Masked J, what do you got? What are your thoughts? How's your Sunday?
Man, what a Sunday it is. I am ready to get this going. I am ready to knock this out. I am ready to get some more people involved.
Yep, I love it. So what do you think is bigger news right now? I mean, we could start anywhere and it's a hot topic. What do you think's the biggest news coming out? Do you think it's what we've heard about SmackDown, or do you think it's the layoffs? I probably would say the layoffs, but what do you think?
I definitely would agree. The layoffs are way more newsworthy than the deal that WWE got for SmackDown, which actually wasn't as high as they really wanted.
Yeah.
Realistically, they were shooting for much higher, but obviously, as we can tell, they did not get it. Fox was
Yeah.
willing to let their number one rated show on Fridays just go.
Yeah.
And NBCU picked it right up. We'll put it back on the USA Network. But the real shocker in that, the real fun behind that, is the fact that Raw and NXT were not announced as re-signed with it.
Yeah.
That's very interesting, huh?
I think it's interesting, and I didn't do a whole lot of digging into that, but maybe you can share. So SmackDown, I believe the television rights deals were around the same time, or are they far off? And I'm wondering if the timing is the reason for it.
I would say timing's the same.
Roughly the same. That's what it looked like, because I think they were both
Yeah,
2024,
it's
right?
all the same thing. It's supposed to be, yeah, I believe October of
Yeah,
2024. That's
that's what I
obviously
thought.
when SmackDown will air on USA.
Yeah,
And hopefully soon. Hopefully soon we'll get news as far as where Raw is going to be. Um, a lot of people don't believe that it could leave Monday nights. A lot of people won't
right.
believe that it will leave USA Network. But we've seen it in the past. It left USA before.
Yep.
So I mean, anything is possible with WWE right now. With under TKO officially, they're looking for a lot of changes, and they're looking
Yeah.
for uh, big money essentially, and they know what WWE is worth, and they're going to stick to their guns for the most part, I think, and they'll settle on something for sure because they're not going to just let the rights deal just randomly just die off
Yeah.
and have no home. But
Yeah.
it's interesting though. It's almost like well, maybe this is a plan by USA to try to knock down their asking price. Like, yeah, we'll buy SmackDown. We'll take care of it for the next 4 years. But you know what? Let's keep working on Raw. We'll keep working on
Yeah.
NXT. But I think what I think is NXT is probably going to end up streaming again, and Raw is either going to stay on USA, stay on Monday nights, or someone's going to swoop in like Amazon, and
Yeah.
they're going to take the rights of Raw, and we're going to see Raw on Amazon Prime Video.
Can you imagine? What a
I mean, that is the future in general,
it is.
but that's massive. That's pretty massive for Raw. To just
Yeah, like Monday Night Raw to go to
wow.
streaming seems like we're fast tracking the future in a way.
Well, I mean,
Here's
COVID
what
kind of did that.
Yeah, that's true, right? I mean, subscriber for any general television subscription is just in general like dying 10% or more or so a year, I think is some of the figures over the past few years. So you've got these declining figures there. But here's what I'm curious about, and you see a lot of people bickering online. I mean, one of my favorite follows is Raj Giri, and Raj is like he's always cooking on there, and he's got good opinions, but he's also got really good business knowledge, and he's been doing this a long time. And I see him chatting back and forth, and I see others in the community talking a lot about the value. And you alluded to it just a minute ago that WWE was expecting a percentage much higher, and I think the number being thrown around that they actually got was 40%.
Yes.
So that's what's interesting. And here's where I'm a little like thrown on this is USA just picked up SmackDown, right?
Yeah.
Friday Night SmackDown airs on Fox. I don't understand why people think because USA picked them up, it's going to go to Monday nights. And I see a lot of people saying that. They're like, "Oh, SmackDown's going to be on Mondays." And it's like, "Where did you get that from? Did
I,
you hear anything like that?"
there's been absolutely zero word on what day of the week SmackDown will be on in October of 2024.
Right.
They are probably not going to announce that till sometime next year, probably mid next year, when
Right.
they really start heavily promoting the big changeover from Fox to USA Network.
Yeah. People are making a big deal about that. And again, it's kind of like, we're jumping the shark here a little bit. And then also
Right.
people talking about Monday Night Raw like going to
Yep.
Friday. And it's like, where are we getting this from? Like, where is this coming from? All we know at this time is that Fox, actually, we don't technically know this, but I'm going to throw it in there because it's the only thing that makes sense is Fox didn't see the value. And my understanding is they actually were not getting a return on investment from SmackDown. But again, I don't know if that's true or
That
not. That's just what you
that's
hear.
that's the only part true that you can say is Fox didn't see a return
Yeah.
because the
Obviously,
ad
they
rate,
wouldn't sell
I mean, the
order
cost
like
of
that.
slots on TV for wrestling is always really low. So
Yeah.
they're just not seeing that return. And it's not that there isn't money in SmackDown or Raw or anything. It's just that it's not what they want, especially when you have Fox or NBCU and
Right.
Amazon, all this stuff that they have to answer to shareholders.
Right.
And if the shareholders are upset, guess what? It doesn't matter how if they're number one in the rating as far as the demo or overall viewership every single week. It doesn't matter because they're just not seeing that money in return. But
Yeah.
it's still astonishing. It's still shocking
Right.
that there goes SmackDown on Fox.
Which generates the highest viewership across the WWE brand. And now something that we've been talking about for the past couple episodes, the past couple weeks now is NXT. I did dig back through NXT's old ratings, and it looked like when they came out of the box, they were doing actually numbers that were in many cases better than they're doing now. And so I've been wondering and saying, like, is this leakage of main roster to NXT and vice versa? Is this a play to bring up the overall ratings for NXT? I can't say that it was or not because I don't have a friend to ask in WWE, but you can see that it's working. And then it kind of pulled the trigger and they're like, okay, well, listen, we put Seth, we put Dirty Dom on there, we put all these, different people. We've had some mingling, we've had Tiffany on just kind of making appearances. We've had these other matches, on Raw or SmackDown featuring NXT talent. Not much, but it is bringing up the ratings. So let's go ahead and throw a full-time main roster talent such as Becky Lynch over there and give her a belt. And the story was there. I mean, I like the story. Some people are bitter about it, but hey, you can't please everyone, right? And she captures a belt she never won. They get a full-time, well over full-time champ now from the main roster. The ratings appear to be going up. Do you think that is kind of a way to say, like, look at the viewership increase just by making this one change to pump the value of that show?
Us, man. Sorry to interrupt you, but we actually
No,
have
you're
somebody
good.
here.
Who do we got?
Who do we have?
What do we got? The Swerve Show.
The Swerve Show. Hey, buddy.
Looks like he's connecting.
You gotta connect.
Yeah, we interrupt your broadcast to let a guest in.
Do it.
There we
go.
What's going on?
Boom.
Uh-oh.
I have to wear a mask too.
There it is. The Swerve Mask Show.
What's up, guys? Sorry for being late. Long day
good.
last night. All the craziness on Twitter and me trying to capitalize off the name Swerve trending on Twitter kept me up till 2 a.m. Plus, cleaning my room with Clorox probably got to me big time. So I'm here with a cup of coffee and ready to rock and roll with you guys. Thank you for having me on.
Hey, the most important thing here is thanks for joining us. We're very excited to have you. We decided to get rocking and rolling because there's some stuff, you know, we're going to get out the way, but you're going to jump in. So let's start with this, man. What do you want us to call you?
Wow, that's a good, Swerve sounds so corny. Dominic was my thing before Dominic was the thing. I can't abbreviate Nick because Nick rhymes with, you know, what else? And then, Swerve.
Swerve?
Why not Swerve? We
Let's
have
do it.
J in your name, so let's go. Let's rock.
Yeah. All right. So let's get a proper introduction. Yeah. All right. So let's do this, right? Let's do it proper, right?
We call him Froggy Jones.
Yeah. All right. We're going to do this the right way. Here's your intro. Are you ready? Are you ready, Swerve?
I'm ready. I'm ready.
Sit back. Give me a minute. I might stumble, but we're going to do this. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, aliens and time travelers tuning in from galaxies far, far away. Hold on to your seats and prepare for an audio extravaganza of cosmic proportions. We've got a guest today who's not just a legend in their field. They're practically a living, breathing, walking encyclopedia of awesomeness. Brace yourselves because this guest is about to unleash a tidal wave of knowledge, charisma, and wit that'll make your eardrums sing with delight. Now, imagine if Einstein, Shakespeare, and Beyonce had a love child, and that love child decided to take over the podcasting universe. That is the kind of energy we're bringing to you today. Our guest is the epitome of brilliance, the embodiment of talent, and the living embodiment of a mic drop moment. They've scaled the highest peaks of their profession, broken records, redefined entire industries, and made history while sipping on their morning coffee and probably doing a triple backflip just for fun. So grab your earmuffs because your ears are about to be rocked, your minds are about to be blown, and your hearts are about to be stolen by the one, the only Swerve.
I actually have to agree with every single thing that Fog Jones just said right there. Thank you very much. You might have forgotten a few more other things, but we'll get that into another conversation later on. But thank you for having me on this show. This is awesome. This is oh man, man, what an intro! That was awesome. I'm stuttering, but
I can't do it again. I mean, that's it. You're lucky I got through that. Do us a favor, man. So, like, you know, for people that somehow don't know you, which would be kind of surprising if they found this, but they don't know you because I'm new to this, right? And the Mass J and I have just kind of started this up about actually 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. What do people need to know about you? Tell us about you. You've been on TMZ and you've done a lot of other stuff. Is that correct? Give us your own little
let me see if I could break down a little 30-second resume introduction. Well, my name is Swerve Show. I've done TMZ articles a day. I at least call me once a month to get my thoughts on certain wrestling antics that have been happening around the world, as well as I did write with WWE house shows back in 2004. Only did one with Victoria and Trish and got fired for being late, and that's a story within itself. And I decided to create a podcast because why not? Everybody else does it. It seemed easy at the time. I looked up to people like Sean Ross Sapp and whatnot. Created a website during the pandemic. Created a lot of friends, grew throughout that time. and love wrestling. I started watching in the early 90s. I know your Hulk Hogan's, your WCW's, TNA's, AEW's, et cetera, et cetera. I'm personally known for hating AEW now, even though I do like it. I hate watch it, but I like all of wrestling, and AEW just makes it that much easier for me to grow because negativity runs wild in the community, especially in the wrestling community. That's why you have people like JD from New York up there in numbers. You have Jim Cornette having the biggest wrestling podcast ever, and that's because of speaking down on it.
Oh my God.
And I started growing once I started dissing AEW. And
so is it all just an act?
It is, but
them?
it is and it isn't. I like AEW, but they give us content. It's so hard for me not to tweet about something towards them when they literally give us content week after week after week. If it's not Lufisto dissing the females locker room, it's MJF dissing them, and then it's the FTR pulling out a gun, then it's Jungle Boy fighting CM Punk, then it's the referee almost getting Moxley killed, and it's just like, what's next week? And
I mean, so they're content drivers. That's what they are. Big
time.
They're just driving in that content for you left and right. Like personally, like I don't mind AEW. I watched since day one, and I've seen their rise, and I've seen them kind of stumble, and I always hope that they improve. I will call them out, of course. Absolutely, call them out on their shit, just like I would call out WWE on their issues, or Impact Wrestling on their issues.
Yeah.
It's the same thing all around, but absolutely love wrestling. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah,
like I'm going to Wrestle Dream out here in Seattle next Sunday, and I'm pretty freaking excited because the card is really stacked.
I've been to a lot of AEW shows as of this year too, and I can't say anything bad about it. It is empty, but the camera people there are cool. I'm able to sneak up to the front row. I'll buy the cheapest tickets. I'll wind up walking to the front, and I interact with everybody, and they're so humble and cool. And it's just like, oh, too bad. In an hour, I'll probably be on Twitter dissing you guys, but thanks for the show.
It's too bad
sorry.
So the Mask J and I, we talk a lot about, like, personally, I'll just say this, like, I love AEW for its existence. Just the fact that somebody can say, like, because, you know, hey, I don't want to work 315 days a year. You know, I want to show up on Wednesday and or Saturday and be able to go home and not do that schedule from WWE. But at the same time, the fact is, if you're going to compete with the WWE, and they are, their words, not mine. You have to be on that level to some form of an extent, right? And when you see like the stuff that people share each week, it's not to say that the company's bad or this person's bad. It's just, we want better, right? We want better. We want better, and not better like, oh, it's not good enough for us. It's like, we don't want to see people get injured. We don't want to see the same sloppy mistakes. You know, I haven't been watching it for too long, and that's because I'm a Laps fan. And not hate on the product, but like just in general. And so like I've seen in the past, just kind of looking through it, people talking about the referee work and things like that. And I see it, man. I see it. Like the rules like don't exist on certain things. And it's like, you do have to be clean when you're playing with the top level, right? Like as a musician, I'm a guitar player. I can't sit here and be like, yeah, I'm going to go rock a Guns N' Roses track, but go in there and just not play as good as I have to play in order to keep up with a Slash, right? So I get it, you know, and then it kind of turns into a thing. There's a few accounts that people kind of hate on. Gareth, I didn't know people hated on you for this. Jobber's another one.
Oh my God. And they all like follow me or I follow them, whatever, except for Gareth. I
was good friends with them in the beginning, and we all blocked each other, but I'm sort of like in and out with Jobber Nation. And it's all a fun skit behind the scenes. Yeah. And the reason why I blocked them, I think I got sort of tricked into thinking I was in a group with somebody, a long story within itself. And if he unblocked me, I would unblock him too. And I'd be like, hey, what's up? But I see the path you're going. It's just, those accounts. Sorry for cutting you off. No, you're good, man. I mean, this is your show at this point. When we invite you on, it's all about you.
Cut each other off. That's the best part, is when we're cutting each other off. I mean, especially when it's Fog talking, you know, just it's fine. Just keep on talking. Just like, you got the accent. I'm from New York, but I don't have the accent like you do. So you just say, shut up, man. And I'll just shut up. You act like
You
somebody
know
from
what's so
Texas,
crazy
man.
about this whole entire wrestling thing? Like you said, I wanted when I was nothing but positivity. I was gonna be that person. I'm gonna step away from it. I'm gonna talk positive, and nothing grew. My channel didn't grow. Nothing grew. And then the only positive tweet that I put out there that did grow was, "Hey, all of the WWE fans that are hating AEW right now really wanted them to succeed because we were tired of the same boring Raw and SmackDown. And when those guys got released, we were happy. We're like, yes, now we're going to be able to see like the Keith Lees of the world. We're going to see what all the gauntlet of people that they got. We're going to see what they're going to do. They're going to kick butt, and we're going to watch like it's the Attitude Era." Unfortunately, that didn't happen.
No, it did not.
No, and
it's great talent too. It's not like they're not great, talented people, but it's still the same thing, and they're not being utilized correctly, or they're not being,
they had CM Punk, Daniel Bryan,
right? They had some amazing talent, and
they picked out some of the hot commodities that came out of NXT and just did nothing on the main roster. That, like you were just mentioning, Keith Lee and Adam Cole being personally, and I mentioned this actually on one of the previous episodes. Keith Lee I had a lot of hopes. I was like, man, I love Keith Lee, and I was like, this guy, he's gonna be world champion fast. Like even WWE put him straight into the title picture. They're like, first match, how about we have you basically squash Randy Orton? So like that's momentum right there. And he was kind of doing this friendship, not friendship thing with Drew McIntyre. And it's like, you got a guy here. I get it. You're not, you want him to be Bearcat, but like you got something here, you know?
Bearcat was so dumb. I don't care what anybody says.
Looking back now though, Bearcat doesn't seem too bad.
It still seems bad too.
Oh,
I mean, even now is bad. I feel bad for the guy because he's incredibly intelligent.
Yeah,
he is a really good talker,
smart,
and he can go in the ring. It's almost like he's chained up still.
Dare I say, Keith Lee joining AEW is one of the building blocks that made me turn heel against AEW, and it all comes back to Twitter, the cesspool of Twitter. When he left WWE, this is the first one. You guys and everybody probably seen it on Twitter when he called out Walter, said, "Oh man, I heard they changed Walter's name to Gunther. Too bad for you, right?" And then it came back to bite him in the butt,
right?
But then the other tweet that really got me upset at him was because I was on the Keith Lee bandwagon. Yeah, he's gonna be in fit. He's gonna do backflips. He's gonna have awesome matches with the Young Bucks, all this and that and the third. But then he criticizes the WWE's medical team and that he wasn't getting paid and he was treated fairly. And the WWE website, like somebody, either Stephanie McMahon or WWE.com, the Twitter themselves, called him out and said,
they responded.
Nope,
that was funny. I'm not like, I remember reading that and I was just dying. I had to get up and walk away because I couldn't breathe. That they actually called him out on that shit. Like, oh, you better.
Well, you have to. You have to. When you're the machine that is WWE, the number one, I don't, you can get mad at me. I'm not saying my opinion. I'm telling you a fact. They're the number one wrestling company, and we can thank them for everything being in the mainstream, that the eyes on the product in general. We can thank them for people wanting to watch AEW in many respects too. Because as you mentioned, Swerve, that was the alternative, especially during that era where it was like, how many times are we going to watch the Street Profits and the New Day or whoever, just rematch like literally every week. Yeah,
the bar, remember? It was like the bar and Usos.
Yep.
Yeah.
Back to back.
I'm gonna throw up here. I'm gonna throw up. You're feeding me this way too much. So you have to come out, and if you see something that's gonna be brand damaging like that, you have to do that. So listen, man, before you join, first of all, I do want to let people know, and just correct me if I'm wrong, man, but your is at the Swerve Show, and that's on YouTube, that's on X/Twitter, right?
Yes,
that's how people find you. All right, cool. So if you want to get into this, I don't think we have a couple topics. We're going to talk about some layoffs. We're going to talk about Jade Cargill. We are going to talk about CM Punk, but just so you're aware, prior to you joining, we wanted to get the TV rights deal out of the way. So, SmackDown's going to be going with NBC. We have no information on Raw. If you have thoughts on it, fine. Otherwise, I think that's kind of a boring topic and we can move on. But
I listened to one of Jim Cornette or either K100 last night, and they said that SmackDown is going to the USA Network,
Yep.
and that they're very fond on actually moving Monday Night Raw away from Mondays.
Okay.
And they weren't sure, but they were trying to break it down. I think him and Disco, that Raw could actually be on NBC, the antenna network, the NBC network,
Yep.
or this is a done fact. NXT and Raw, they're going to be off of USA, so it's either they're going to be on NBC or they're going to be on the Peacock app.
Which that's all through the same company, though, right? That's NBC Universal.
Yes, but are you willing to pay $5 a month to watch Monday Night Raw now?
That's a good question.
I already do. I mean,
I have
a good chunk already do.
Yeah.
That's a good point, though. It's their longest running episodic television show, and then to take that off, they lose that title now because it's streaming, and that's not. I don't think that's going to count.
Well, it's still
I don't know
a weekly show. It's a weekly show.
Yeah, but it's not television, right? So it's going to be streaming.
Still the same thing.
It's a title that they've got. It's the longest running.
It's the same thing. It's still going to be the same. But
we'll see.
I see your argument with that, but I'm just saying, like, if it's on streaming, it doesn't really matter because it's still going to be a weekly episode type deal.
I guess my thing is just weird that Raw is going to be on a streaming app rather than because live TV, even though I don't have TV, I watch everything through a streaming app. Live TV just has something like a mystique to it.
It does. So, it does.
Very nostalgic at times.
Yeah, it's kind of like
old.
Like
I remember back in the days, when SmackDown was on UPN 9, they would always push, and it's the Latin stars to be on there. That's where you had Rey Mysterio and Eddie Guerrero. And their reasoning for that was, and I'm 100% sure I read this on WrestleZone when that was popular back in the day, is that a lot of Hispanic families can't afford cable. So the only way they could watch their superstars is on UPN 9 on a free network. That's why we're going to give you Alberto Del Rio, Eddie Guerrero, and that worked out perfectly because that UPN 9 SmackDown was
right.
And
really.
But now
I remember those days, man. I definitely do. Those were good times too, though.
But is Raw, but like Mass J, you said something about it still being on USA or Raw though. But like if I'm not paying for the Peacock app, I'm not going to be able to watch Raw.
I don't believe it's going to be switched over just yet. Anything that Disco Inferno says, I would never believe. Anyway.
No, it's on a lot of it's already a done deal almost.
Oh wow.
I haven't heard anything at all about it leaving USA. I'll definitely look it up. But as far as I know, they have not come to terms, and there's other suitors that are trying to pick it up, including Amazon Prime, and I've heard Disney, and I think that's pretty much it. Amazon, Disney, and NBCU are the only ones really going in discussions for this. Yeah. So I could see NXT dropping. And going straight to Peacock.
I could see that.
I'd be okay with that. Raw dropping, man.
Because they're getting whipped by the NFL.
Yeah.
I could see them possibly moving to Tuesdays. If they're going to take, I could see NXT being moved over to the Peacock network and then Raw being that Tuesday.
That would be very interesting. I mean, I don't see it happening, but I mean, anything's possible.
Yeah.
Never say never in wrestling because shit, look what happened. WWE,
they're going to go with the money.
By a big man.
They already proved that it's all about the money. So Disney comes up to them and says, hey, you're going TVG and we're going to pay you $7 billion. It's not going to happen. But like, you know what I'm saying? Like they're going to do it, right? They're going to have Winnie the Pooh walking the state. Whatever the money brings is where they're going. I want to get into some of the juicier stuff. If you guys don't mind, let's pivot real quick.
Let's do it.
So, go ahead.
Let's talk about these releases. And the reason I want to talk about that is because A, it's a hot topic, but B, there's a lot we can kind of get into. And then some of these people have already spoken out about certain things. And so here's a quick list. I'm not going to bring up the NXT names unless like it needs to be brought up, like, or there's like a name that really pops off to me, which I don't think there is. But like, so we got Dolph Ziggler and I would say Shelton Benjamin being the two big surprises for me personally. Dolph Ziggler and Shelton, those two releases were like, okay, that's a little shocking for me. The rest is Elias, Aaliyah, Rick Boogs, Riddick Moss, which I guess they changed his name back and I didn't catch on to that. Emma, Top Dollar, Dana Brooke, Mustafa Ali, Mansoor, Mace, and Shanky. Forgot Shanky. I'm sorry, Shanky. I forgot Shanky was there. But
poor Shanky.
For shaky, but like
For
just
shaky.
real quick here.
Oh.
So my opinion is Dolph Ziggler and Shelton were two shocking ones. So I want your guys' thoughts on this list, and if you think, hey, I'm not that shocked, great. But also, if you're following, Top Dollar is very active on X right now, talking about his time there, talking about music videos and music that he put together that apparently WWE was just not using. He's definitely, I think that one is a little shocking because the other two out of originally four members of Hit Row are still there. So what are we going to do with them?
Mhm.
And then the other one, Rick Boogs, just posted or went out and said something along the lines of he believes he got released due to a political power play backstage. And I'm sure there's a couple more that I missed here, but let's start with you, Swerve. What are your thoughts on these releases? Do you think it was great? Do you have any ones that really stood out to you, shocked you?
I'm in the same boat as you. I just read that one of the reasons why Dolph Ziggler was probably released is that he had a really, really huge contract. So that might be a reason why. I
Okay.
would definitely like to hear. I heard about that Rick Boogs situation.
Yeah.
I didn't get to click on that to hear much about that. But everybody else, yeah, you have Top Dollar doing nude pictures almost on Twitter. So he is very active on the X, taking full
Yeah.
advantage of that.
Yeah.
And he said that he was sticking up for B-Fab, so that's one of the reasons why. But if I had a chance, if there's one person I think they would sign, I would say it's Ali, Mustafa Ali. I think he might wind up going to AEW.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Top
he's definitely one.
yeah. Top Dollar, would you want him to go in to AEW and join with Swerve Strickland after Swerve Strickland has been with so many factions?
I don't think Swerve Strickland's going to go for that, but continue.
And who else you have?
I mean, I could see
Everybody else
Shelton
is just
Benjamin.
yeah. I could see Emma and her boyfriend going back down
Yeah.
to Impact Wrestling.
Yep.
So yeah, it's everybody that got released. Not a surprise. Maybe like you
Okay.
said, Dolph. But when I found out about the contract, that's about it. What about you, Mass J?
Yeah, real quick though,
Oh, sorry.
before you get that thought, no,
Mother
you're good. I
trucker.
appreciate you doing that. I appreciate you doing that.
Coming
But
for
just
you.
real quick here, so you said something, I forgot about it. You said that he had this huge contract, and now BWE said, do not be surprised if some of these people come back, and that might be what you were about to touch on, Jay. But like, I wonder if that's what he's referring to is Dolph might come back. They're just like, hey, we can't pay you this much money now. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off. I'll take the heat.
No, you're good. You'll pay the price later.
I will.
So yeah, no, I mean I was shocked by every single one that got released, NXT and all, because they're all really talented people that are trying to push forward and entertain the fans. But from a business aspect, the merger just happened. They're looking to reduce costs, and this always happens after any merger. Just look it up. You can Google any merger out there. A lot of them are going to see their way to new homes, but there are going to be some that they will probably be back within a year to two, period, because they are that good, or it's just they weren't being used.
Yeah.
And that was the excuse that a lot of WWE kind of put out was, you're not being used, you're being paid main roster money, but we're not seeing a return.
Yeah.
So guess what? We're cutting you. It is what it is. It's nothing personal. It's just business. As far as Dolph Ziggler, who that was by far the most shocking release was Dolph. But his contract actually was ending, I believe, next year.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know where anybody else.
Does he
came up
join
with,
his brother, or does he?
I think he should. If he's gonna go anywhere, if he even continues to wrestle, because he's got his comedy one man tour stuff that he does, and he's a
AEW
funny
will
guy.
allow for that schedule a lot better too. I don't
Very
know if he's
true.
got a family or not. Yeah.
I don't think he does.
I don't know.
Nevertheless, I think it would be cool to see him and his brother work together or against each other.
He could help
I mean,
his
they're
brother
both,
a lot.
Yeah, I mean, his brother's good.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never seen him really do anything that bad. So, I mean, always room for improvement. But Dolph, yeah, I mean, Dolph's gonna be fine. All these guys are gonna be fine in the end. Maybe not so much the performance center people because I don't know
Yeah.
much about them. They weren't on
You said
TV.
everybody's going to be fun at the end. What about Matt Riddle?
Yeah,
Okay,
so
he
I was going to
doesn't
bring
count.
Matt Riddle up because he wasn't part of that like budget
He
scenario.
came after on purpose.
Yeah, so tough call because like everything that we hear is all hearsay. Although
Yes.
being the fact that he got released, you kind of have to assume a lot of it, if not all of it, is correct. And I don't know what's going on with the guy. I really wish him the best. And honestly, I used to see people all the time talking about how he has the deepest bag, and it's hard to argue. That dude can go. That guy's got like a move set like no one else. I will say, I kind of saw him floundering there for a while prior to his release. So I still don't know if it's
Same.
truly due to the issues, but I can tell you, I'd be watching with my wife and we'd watch with him and Randy and they'd get these pops together. And then Randy goes away and then they're kind of keeping that. And then, within a month or two, I feel like he went ice cold. So like, do you guys think it's the backstage stuff is coming to life,
No.
or do you think it's because it's ice cold and they're not getting a return on him?
He's ice cold because Randy Orton's gone.
Yeah.
When
I got
Orton got injured, man, that
Yeah.
was it. That was it for him.
I think a
okay.
lot is going on with him backstage, though. I'm going to give you like 10
true.
seconds. He has baby mama drama. He's paying child support. He broke up with his wife.
Okay.
He's dating a porn star. Supposedly he's doing drugs backstage. Then he's
okay.
calling out this guy at the TSA for sexual harassing him, and he deletes that tweet. Then you're like, he's doing like all this, like he's failed drug test, and he has all that going through his head. And then you add the wrestling drama, just traveling with wrestlers backstage, all that adding up, piling on top. I feel like he probably showed a lot of that negativity backstage. And WWE, they know, like they've seen everybody through the gauntlet of how, through depression, and he has a lot going on. So him being released might be a blessing in disguise if you get his stuff together.
Yeah,
but there's no way they were going to keep him around for that.
Yeah, and then we could see him come back. He's one of those people that could be seen back in WWE, but first he needs to get his life together.
Big time. He's like a Shawn Michaels to me. I always thought of him like as this new version of Shawn Michaels, HBK. He has the attitude, the hair, the body, but
he could go, and it was sad to see. Like, I loved watching his matches, and like I said, I literally sit next to my wife. I go, this guy's music hits, and it's like quiet,
bro,
loud music, and it's quiet. I'm like, I hear nothing, and I'd even replay it to be like, maybe I'm just thinking into my head too much. And then the next person would come out in the match, and I'd hear some noise, even if it wasn't much. I'm like, it's like dead silent. It's like dead silent when his music was hitting, which is weird because
I wonder if that's if you're one of the fans at a live and sitting there live watching it, and it's just a stereotype. Like, do you really want to jump up and clap for a pothead gimmick that's saying, bro? Like, it's just
right.
Even though he's awesome, and at home I'm like, yeah.
You're there with your mom and dad. You're like, I don't support this.
What are you talking about?
You're like,
what's this he's talking about?
Don't look at me, mom and dad. Like, so no, that's a good point too, right? And they did kind of constantly push that, like, hey, this guy's a pothead, like, and he looked blitzed half the time when he's doing promos, right? Let's not act like that.
That's his permanent look, man.
I'm just saying, like, you don't know, but yeah. So Matt Riddle was an interesting one, and I think you're right. There's so much stuff, and there's got to be some truth. They say there's truth, a little bit of truth to every rumor. So, what do you guys think happens with B-Fab and Ashante?
Ashante,
they got rid of Top Dollar.
B-Fab has the it factor. There's some.
B-Fab's gonna. She's been training with Natty in the dungeon.
That's what I hear.
So,
okay.
Nah, yeah. I mean, they just need
Top
to
Dollar just announced that, right? Yeah.
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 No. It's been known that she's been in the dungeon working with Natty and other talent. So
I agree, and that's kind of, and this might be a good segue too, if neither of you have anything else on that, but like, that's a good point, is there's something about a person's look, right? And a lot of people don't want to talk about this. Like Adam Cole's probably the best example. Be like, oh, you're body shaming him. It's like, listen, he's close, but you to be a believable heavyweight champion, there is that expectation, and people are saying it. Like, you put everyone up against Brock Lesnar or Goldberg, and you go, do I believe it? You can't have that underdog over and over, but like B-Fab does have that kind of look to her. And so, speaking of look, that it factor, but just not quite there, not quite utilized, possibly, debatably, to the best of their ability. Jade Cargill is supposedly done with AEW, signed with the WWE. My opinion was Jade Cargill was like their best shot at this big star that could be like that crossover star. But I just don't know that they have the tools, talking AEW, to get someone there. Now, what do you think about Jade Cargill, Swerve? What do you think about her coming to WWE, her time in AEW? Go off, man. Take your time.
I think she's amazing. I've seen her wrestle, and she was mad, humble, and cool to the fans and the audience. And she is beautiful, man. Like, wow, there's some hot, amazing ladies on that roster in AEW. But when she came out, wow, like wow. So she has that. She is definitely going to make it in the WWE, even if she's a manager like Sable or something like that. It's a shame that they gave her a 60-0 title reign just for it to disappear like that on a Rampage against Chris Statlander.
Mm-hmm.
It's also a shame that she had this huge feud with Romeo, or little Bow Wow, that went absolutely nowhere. And hearing her on a podcast talking about how nobody helped her, I've always thought that Daniel Bryan was her mentor, but then she's talking about, they wanted me to hit somebody with a chair, and I didn't know how to do it until CM Punk told me. And I'm like, I think it's jealousy. Like, why aren't they helping this lady? So she probably got fed up. She's awesome. I'm a fan of hers. I was a huge fan of hers and Eddie Kingston. But then unfortunately, when it went back to the Twitter and the cesspool and me getting caught up into that bubble, I did hate some of the way how she talked about some of the fans, sort of throwing some racial things about, oh, it's those white guys that if you're white and you're booing me, you're racist. And I'm like, I'm white.
That.
Yeah. And I'm like, I'm white and I'm cheering for you. And I'm not racist. And that's when it just stuff started getting into like why I started to make fun of AEW more on Twitter. But I'm not racist. I know what she's talking about. Good for her. She's cool. And I'm all for her. She has the it factor. She's pretty, and wrestling is easy. She'll learn how to wrestle. There's no doubt about it.
She has a good foundation too, especially if that's coming, if she's, if the absolute truth is nobody's helping her. Honestly, man. And, kudos to Chris Statlander, who's my favorite woman wrestler, but I thought they put on a hell of a match, to be honest with you, on Rampage. I thought that was a great friggin' match. I actually feel bad for Britt Baker having to follow that. I was like, that match was fantastic. And to your point, okay, to your point though, Swerve, like they really rushed that, and I'm wondering if that had to have been due to the contract, because that could have been a multi-month feud because the story was great. Chris Statlander didn't beat her clean technically. She came out after she had just had a grueling match with Taya Valkyrie, I believe that's how you say her name. And then Chris Statlander comes out, and it's like, well, okay, you didn't really beat her. You know what I'm saying? So that story had to continue. And it's like, we're going to do this on Rampage, a taped show that's leaked.
But then to play devil's advocate, a lot of people in the comments section said like, well, most of her matches were on Rampage, so it shouldn't be no surprise. But
that's actually very true. I mean, most of her matches were on Rampage. She was a Rampage mainstay, basically, and almost the star of that show in particular.
It's a good point.
They, once again, dropped the ball on another great piece of talent. And she'll be in WWE, and I don't believe she's going to be just a manager. She will get her hands dirty. Lord knows that she's got the chops to learn.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing with her, is she just needs to learn her skill set better. She's really got that image that, like Swerve was saying, that image is there. She looks powerful. She's gorgeous, everything. And then now we just got to get her right in that ring and get her to hone in on all of her skills, all of her moves, and make her crisp. We can get her crisp and make her ready for that TV time, that big TV time. Drop her over to Raw or drop her over to SmackDown and just let her shine.
Yeah. What do you think about that, Swerve? You think that's the way to go, or do you think she'd be better suited as a manager?
Ooh, I think, again, with the rumors that she's going to be getting paid more than your usual NXT wrestler just because what Tony Khan has been giving her, and she would have left AEW if she was going to get paid a lot less. So do you bring her up in the main event as a powerhouse where she just does a few moves, goes in there, gives him a big boot, leaves the ring, and then continues practicing in NXT? I don't think she's fully going to go to NXT or in the minors. They're going to take advantage of her quickly. And I think the time she gets signed, I'd say the next month she will be on USA. I think she'll be on SmackDown or Raw ASAP.
Within a month. That's cool.
Really
keep
quick.
Keep in mind that Nick Khan wants to make sure that NXT becomes that third brand, like a solid third brand. That I think they want to escape the fact that it's developmental. And turn it into something big. So if they throw her in NXT and make her the star, that's viewers. That's it right there.
Yeah, and I don't know what the big difference. I know there's going to be some psychological difference between going from an AEW to a WWE because their matches, everything is kind of worked. I mean, it's pretty different in a lot of ways, but I'm sure there's some differences. And I don't know. I wonder how much time they're going to need with her backstage without being on TV to get her to where they're comfortable with her on their TV screen. Whereas, not to knock AEW, but you're on your own. Like, your gimmick is your gimmick. You came up with it. Your promo is your promo. You probably came up with that too. Go out there. But WWE is very much more a well-oiled machine in that regard. So do you think a month, Swerve, is like plenty of time to get her up to speed? I mean, she's talented. I think she's got that foundation. But do you think 1 month, 2 months, 3 months?
Not up to speed as in that, but up to speed as in maybe like, not to compare, but like what they just do with Omos or like just tall guys that are rusty or new, just go in there, beat them up, walk over the top rope, and just wait till they get their first real match, maybe 4 months down the line.
Yeah.
But keep them on TV, keep them on air. See,
Right.
Maybe she's somebody's manager. Maybe she plays what's like Trish Stratus and what's her name, Starks. Maybe she plays like a Starks role to somebody.
Okay.
That's very possible. Absolutely.
Do you think I agree with you, and I don't know, like, again, I don't work there, I don't have a source there, but like I would do exactly that. And the reason why is because at least a good chunk of the wrestling community, the viewers, they know, they watch the backstage stuff. That's kind of been like, I feel like the backstage stuff is the revitalization of wrestling because you're so interested in that. And it's almost like if you took this away from us, I feel like you'd lose half your viewers. So
taking center stage, man.
Yeah, and with that said, do you guys think like that I agree, and I think to your point, maybe they need to do it because they capitalize on the buzz, right? Is that kind of what you're thinking? Like, she's got the buzz, you can send her out there and squash some enhancement talent. Like you said, do the boot, do the thing, and then throw some promo packages the next week, some vignettes, and then have her come out again and squash some fools, and then kind of keep that going for 3 or 4 months, maybe give her first match at Rumble or Mania even. Do you think the buzz, do you think we got to capitalize on that buzz?
Yeah,
definitely. And if she's going to play a manager role, guess what? Her biggest feud is on that roster too. And she could be a manager as well. And that's Brandy Rhodes.
Yeah.
They could continue slapping and playing karate like she says, which I can't see on here, but that would be an amazing feud to continue.
Go ahead, Jay. What you got?
Jake,
I think we lost you. I think your mic.
No, I turned it off. Anyways, hey, real quick, who do you think then would be the perfect fit for Jade if she was going to play the manager role?
Oh, you Swerve. I'm out.
Brandy Rhodes.
No, not her antagonist.
Like what wrestler would she manage? Okay.
Ooh, that's a good call.
Yeah.
I would have to say somebody small and petite and tiny. Cora Jade just pops up into my mind for some reason. Whomever Becky's fighting. That's a good question. I really don't know. It's just
Tiffany. Yeah, Tiffany Stratton. I mean, you put Jade next to her.
They do have the same type of body and goals. Their Twitters are like identical. Oof.
Right.
Does she still go by Jade Cargill? Is that her real name or stage name?
That's her real name.
Yeah, that's her real name. I believe that's her real name, and I heard someone just recently correct me because I saw some buzz of. I mean, I saw a trademark for a Jada
Yeah.
Parker, and I tweeted about that. But somebody said
Like
that they
Jada.
think it's going to be Jade Cargill, just spelled differently, kind of like what they did with Bianca
Taz.
Belair. Bianca Belair's real name is Bianca Blair, now Bianca Ford, but they took her original name Bianca Blair and they turned it into
You
Bianca
know what they're
Belair.
gonna do? They're gonna take the I and
Oh,
replace it with the letter Y, like they do with Rhino and all these other guys.
There it is.
Uh,
That's all. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I heard it's going to be something like Jayde and then Cargell, something like that. So it's just kind of like they own her name, but not her name, you know?
They
So-
like
I'll
to
name her
the character.
Jade Storm after X-Men.
Dude, that
Right?
she could play that part, man. She's got the look for that, right?
Big time.
Yeah, absolutely.
So
Hey, update
So,
on her new name. Just came in an hour ago, but I'll get
Okay.
to that later on. Update on you WWE ring names for Jade Cargill speculations. I'm gonna try
Yeah,
to
what you
skim
got?
through it real quick, and it's
Yeah.
from Russell Talk. Recently, PW Insider, Jada Parker. I think that's what you just said, right?
Yeah.
that's what I heard. That's what I read on a trademark.
Jaida.
Yep.
Tiffany Caffey. In the update, trademark the fact is not, but rather NXT. It looks like what you said might be the one
Jada
that's
Parker?
taking the lead. Yeah.
It is what it is. I mean, what you
So
got, Jay?
that Jada Parker
Yeah.
that a lot of people were thinking of. No, it's not. In an update, the trademark name is in fact for NXT prospect Tiana
I heard
Cappy,
about that. I heard about that.
who
Okay.
recently changed her social media handles to include the name.
That is
There you
right.
go.
It says it on the bottom too.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it's definitely not going to be, her.
Thank gosh.
I mean, why? That's all I'm gonna say. Like, why would you change her name when you got the buzz, you got the chatter? AEW brought her in when WWE wanted her in the first place, and she chose AEW supposedly because of her family. She's got a kid, and WWE said something to her along the lines of, "When you join us, we become your family." Funny enough, 6 days actually, I think before those rumors came out, she had done an interview and it looked like she was in like her RV and said like Tony Khan was the best boss, AEW is all she wanted to work for, future
God,
women's champion. So like something happened like really fast in order to make that happen. But like, yeah, if WWE's going to take her on, why completely change her name if she's already got a name, right? So,
Well,
but
I don't know, man. Like, I heard from people that they've been interested for a while,
yeah,
and the moment they got the opportunity to talk to her, they took it, and then it was like pretty easy to drag her away from AEW too.
yeah.
I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard. Is it wasn't really difficult. WWE is going to pay her well, and I don't know why she did that little interview.
Yeah. We'll see. I'm excited. Personally, I'm excited.
As
Now-
long as she doesn't show up as Natalia's 15th best friend in a tag team. That would
Staying quiet on that one. I love Natty.
be. I do too, but how many best friends does she have in storylines and they wind up turning on her? It's just like,
She
yeah,
doesn't
some of that
learn.
stuff just gets old. Yeah, it's like
He's not learning, Natty. Stop trusting people. I know you can. I know you follow me, Natty. I know we talk every once in a while, but listen, stop trusting everybody. They're
He's
not
giving you
always gonna be
advice.
your friend. They're gonna hit you from behind. I promise.
she's
Oh,
like
man.
the inverse of Randy Orton, who you pair someone with him, and it's like, or Sheamus. Even Sheamus is notorious for that too. Like, just don't keep your eyes on them. So,
Right.
quick pivot here. So we're
Mhm.
excited. I think
Oh.
we're all in unison excited for Jade Cargill to come to WWE. Now,
Sure.
would either of you, we'll start with you, Swerve, would you be
Mhm.
excited for CM Punk to come back to the WWE? Why or why not?
Yes. Yes, if he joins NXT.
Really?
And the only reason why I say this, and it's a wild, crazy throw at the wall right there. I actually
on mute.
watched WWE backstage,
Okay.
and there were a
Right.
lot of sad wrestlers that were up there. And I remember him interviewing Charlotte, and Charlotte was saying that she is very bored with wrestling. There isn't anything for her to do, et cetera, et cetera. And then CM Punk said, Well, if you're bored, why don't you go down to NXT? Because that's what I would do, and shed some of your light onto the younger stars, teach them, go to NXT and become that wrestler, become that mentor, if I'm pronouncing it right. And if he was, and he sounded pretty strong about that. He spoke a strong game, and if he's all about that, why wouldn't he go down there? And I think I'll try to keep it short and sweet. I think that would
take your
sort
time,
of
man.
cushion the blow from fans attacking him, the AEW fans, the WWE fans saying, no, we don't want you. We don't want you on Raw to fight Cody. We don't want you to be on SmackDown to fight
Right.
Roman. Oh, you're joining NXT? Wait a minute. CM Punk, he's might have that's awesome. That's pretty cool.
Take
Let me
some
check
heat
that
off.
out.
Yeah, take some heat off.
Yeah, and then what better way to throw it back at Tony Khan and the Young Bucks to have NXT beat AEW in ratings? That would be his little caveat,
man.
probably,
I
I
on the
mean,
side.
they already do with Rampage and Collision, so
And him and Jade Cargill are pretty cool. They've had that one interview, which is sort of ironic now when he's telling them not to join WWE because the grass isn't greener on the other side. But
Yeah.
now
Right.
that's life
Oh,
for you.
boy.
But I say NXT.
That would be cool.
I'm down
Good.
with that. Honestly,
Oh,
I really
and with the X too. Who wears the X on NXT?
it's perfect. It fits.
Dude, you're
I-
hired.
Yeah, I mean, I think. Yeah, I mean, I was a huge Punk fan.
Mhm.
I was a huge Punk fan when he went to AEW.
Same
I
here.
think I'm not so much a Punk fan anymore. Just because I think he is past his prime, and that was obvious in the ring. The man can still talk. That was obvious. So maybe he just needs to step out of the ring and just be an authority figure even. I don't
Maybe
know.
CM Punk becomes a manager and he rivals
Yeah.
whoever Paul Heyman is managing.
But
And try that.
I could see NXT. I think that would be great. That would be
I could
very
too.
interesting, and his mind would be
Commentator?
overflowing with content. Yeah, well, maybe. Huh?
You
Or
always wanted
manager,
to be a
right?
commentator.
Yeah, commentator or
Yeah, I
manager
mean-
is one you mentioned.
Either or, that would be nice. But he's not gonna he's gonna pop the ratings for like maybe 2-3 weeks, guys.
Yep.
Let's face it. And then after that, it's gonna go right back to normal because it's
Yep.
CM Punk, and we've seen it all before, and we also know the backstage issues, and he does have an attitude issue. I don't know if it's just because of AEW, but he also had backstage issues in WWE.
Even on
So we're-
backstage.
Yeah, I mean, what's the limit really with this? How many times do we give him as fans?
It makes some juicy content though on
He
online, that's
does
for
make
sure.
good content. I'll give you that.
Like you said, Jay, I watch wrestling just to keep up with the drama online.
Yeah, pretty much. That's it.
What I'm talking about. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if I'd be all that interested in it if I wasn't reading some BS backstage.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's let's talk just briefly. I'm just curious about your thoughts, Swerve, on some stuff because Jay and I
Mhm.
go back and forth on this a lot, and like my
Mhm.
opinion is that, and the reason I bring this up is because CM Punk and
Yeah.
the reason I actually kind of got into doing this back scene stuff, doing the podcast stuff, I opened a website, closed it real fast because that's just not I'm just not interested in that kind of work. But JD from New York, right? That's
Yeah.
the first person I saw. I know the guy gets heat, but I did find an appreciation for his honesty, even though it's just opinions. I think a lot of people misunderstand the fact that he is speaking to creative like 95% of the time. He's not speaking about this person as a person. He's speaking to how they're being creatively booked. But I bring him up because there was a pocket of time where it felt like AEW and WWE were playing this game of football, kind of coming out of that pandemic when you had those Keith Lees and others joining AEW. We're waiting on someone, whether it be WWE or AEW, to pick up that ball and actually run with it and get the touchdown. And the phrase needle mover was being used. They even turned it into a t-shirt from Roman. Yeah. Game changer and needle mover. You heard game changer, you heard needle mover. I am of the belief that there's not a person that's truly a needle mover, like in longevity.
Mhm.
I am of the belief that long term, it's the company and the production and the creative and the stories. And what do you think about that? Like, we saw CM Punk over there. Obviously, you're going to pop ratings because there's all this buzz surrounding it. But even Collision levels off. Dynamite didn't really go to 1.5 with him there. Do you think there is that needle mover, or do you think it is the company's handling of their product being their person? What do you think about that?
I think it's a little bit of both, but I think 85 to 90%, I guess it can't be a little bit of both if I'm going to say this, has to do with storylines.
Yeah.
Just because of what we've seen recently with the Bloodline and how far it took SmackDown to just dominate in ratings, which is crazy. And then when you had Dave Meltzer say that Sami Zayn was the reason why they were getting those high ratings in SmackDown, when he gets moved over to Monday Night Raw before football, those ratings didn't go up. The ratings for that Bloodline storyline kept on going up. So he wasn't a needle mover.
He could have kind of kept it fresh and brought a new light to it, though, you think?
Who? Sami Zayn to Bloodline?
Yeah, Sami Zayn to Bloodline, yeah.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But I recall him saying that once he leaves, it's because of him. They still had 2 million because Sami Zayn was on SmackDown, but Roman Reigns wasn't there. So Sami Zayn is still that man. People want to see Sami Zayn turn on one of the Usos. But then eventually that number started dwindling down. And the number still stood the same. And when he went to Raw, those numbers still stood the same and it wasn't him. And he was like, if he goes to Raw, those numbers would jump up because people love Sami Zayn.
Yeah.
But then for AEW, I think they do have a needle mover, and that person is Daniel Bryan.
That's what I was thinking.
And if
the only one.
And what I hate what they did, like, he signed Daniel Bryan knowing that he doesn't want any merchandise. He doesn't want the crowd to go, yes, 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 and doing the yes chants. And in the back of my head, I'm like, why the heck did I sign you for?
Yeah.
But I don't know if that, I'm trying to find that saying, if that ship has already left the dock. If they throw the title on him, I do believe that they will get 1 million viewers and it'll be entertaining as long as it's not corny. He still has a match left against Omega since they had that time limit draw. So that's why I said it's sort of 50-50 because I believe AEW has needle movers in that, but then WWE has storylines because
that's what they do.
Yeah, that's what they do.
They're sports entertainment guys. They're not just
hiring Hollywood writers.
It's a soap opera for men, basically, and actually, it's a soap opera for men and women now, and kids.
And kids now, yeah. I mean, they knew how to get some more eyes and get some more money. You get the kids wanting to watch it. The parents are going to bring them.
And they did it at first to sacrifice against the viewership of the hardcore wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And now we're finally back to that point where it's starting to cater to both. It's a lot for the casuals and a lot for the hardcore wrestling fans. That's why we have lapsed fans coming back.
Yeah, like me. Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I came back as a lapsed fan because I had a kid on the way. My wife was pregnant. It was a boy. And I'm like, he's probably going to like wrestling. Let's see what kind of crap is on TV now. Let's see how many 2 first name wrestlers y'all are booking these days. So thankfully Brock was there. And anyway, so yeah, I agree with what you're saying, Swerve. I think Daniel Bryan going in as, using his name, Bryan Danielson now. I thought to myself, if I were booking him, and I don't know, maybe he said no, but I thought if I were booking him, I'd find a way to get the belt on him pretty quickly because, you need a strong champion. And when they put the belt on MJF, they were probably in the worst position to be putting the belt on an MJF, despite him being, in my opinion, the best thing in the company overall, because, inclusive of his age, right? I'm not just saying, hey, he's better than Bryan Danielson, but I'm saying as far as a future's concerned, gimmick character. But I just agree with you 100%. I feel like maybe the ship has sailed, but I do think that is the world champion AEW has needed. And booking him straight out of the gate when he chose to leave WWE, they wanted him, I believe, to stay, and then having him come in as like a main event enhancement talent I don't know that was a great idea. That's
and
just
those
my
heel
opinion.
promos
Oh my
that he
God.
was cutting were amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another one they kind of dropped the ball on.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like, yeah, he's the face of Collision now, but that's only because Punk is gone.
How ironic is that he gets
Right?
put in a position like that, and that was the same position he was put in WWE because CM Punk, messed up.
Exactly. So I mean,
Yeah, I think they were
he should
hoping
have
to
been
build
champion
JL
already.
longer.
Big
I'm
time.
really surprised hasn't been the world heavyweight champion for AEW yet. Like, it's just astounding. You have probably like one of the best wrestlers on earth in your company
Mm-hmm.
available to be your top talent, and you still don't do it. Wow. Like,
It's a little
that's
shocking.
that's a Tony Khan call too. Can't blame that on anybody. It's
Yeah.
not talent's fault.
I can't even believe him as a champion almost now. Like even the same with
Yeah.
Adam Cole. He's had so many chances that now what? Like if he wins on his sixth try, I'm supposed to be like, yeah.
Yeah.
He finally
Now
did
I'm
it.
really
Oh,
figured
okay,
it.
but it shouldn't take you 6 tries. But whatever.
Yeah. We talked about that with LA Knight last week, where
Yeah.
it's like LA Knight, despite how over he is right now, just his win-loss record over the last, let's say, year since he's been on the main roster, he just really doesn't have that actual in-ring momentum that he has out of the ring. And like to just put a belt on him, it's like you really wouldn't believe it. And so it's kind of the same thing. It's almost like, and now Bryan Danielson's talking about he's ready to retire soon, and he made his daughter a promise. And yeah, so it's like we got to get a move on this, right? Like we got to like turn these gears, and I think it would do the company a lot of good. So I think there's a lot to say about that.
At least the ROH world title, something,
anything, please. Tony, this is to you, Tony Khan. Look at me. Give the title. Just do it. Okay, Bryan Danielson. He's going to be your top star. Please, just do it.
Hey, is that the storyline? Is that the storyline where the mask comes off? If Bryan Danielson wins it, you become the unmasked Jay.
I'll become a different masked Jay. How about that?
It's not as exciting.
So still is. We can. We can work on it. We'll talk about it.
Oh my gosh! Oh, we're getting a Bowser mask? No, we're not getting.
I was thinking about it, but then I'm like,
it's gonna mess up the headphones. It's gonna mess up the hat. So cool, man. Well, listen,
it's hot in here.
I'm in Florida, y'all, so it's real hot.
Okay, you're screwed. I'm where Bryan Danielson's from, so it's nice and rainy right now.
Oh damn! I'm from New York City, so
yeah.
You're in Seattle.
We're all across. Yeah, well, I'm Aberdeen, but yeah,
Aberdeen. Heck yeah! So we got the curvature. We just need somebody from like California or Texas, and
okay, let's make that. Oh, you know what? I can make that happen soon.
Let's do it.
Take off your mask and you'll just say you're from Texas.
Exactly.
No. We'll take the 4 corners, right?
No, we actually have Rachel. If we can get Rachel on as well, then it would be like she's in I believe near LA. Right? Yeah, she's near LA. So her there, me up here, and we got Swerve, and then we got Froggy over here.
Yep, we'll take the corners of the US, right?
What days do you guys usually go on live and do a podcast? It's Sundays, or do you?
Every Sunday, man. We like to do this stuff on Sundays. We both have a family. I have 2 kids. He's got a kid. And I work, and we got a Bowser mask.
He had to throw that in there to be like, look, this is there's a reason for this mask.
Yeah, it's honestly everything with this podcast, as we call it, but I don't like to call it that. This is a talk show, man. This is us just chatting away about wrestling and discussing it and bringing on friends and bringing on talent. Like we definitely have some people already lined up at this point.
Yeah.
And I'm ready to, just keep on talking about wrestling. It doesn't matter if it's AEW or WWE or Impact, which I want to get to Impact a lot more soon too, because they're killing it, okay, and their production value is about to be jump started. Like they have that huge production change coming. Huge production change coming for
Impact Wrestling, man. I wish I never stopped reviewing. They were one of the that's what got me started. Their fan base is so loyal. Thursdays is a good night. Everybody's exhausted from SmackDown, Dynamite. Thursdays was just so perfect. But then you get trapped into the let's Raw AEW and you forget about Impact
Yeah,
and
and
Impact.
that's the problem. I think I'll argue with people left and right about this. Everybody that's not watching Impact Wrestling at this point is missing out on good wrestling.
Big
I didn't
time.
say top tier wrestling, even though they produce bangers left and right. Okay, but it's not this crap that it used to be back when it was TNA
It's
wrestling
the
under
stigma.
Dixie
People
Carter.
still think
Yeah.
it's
Yeah,
Dixie Carter run,
it's a
and it's
whole
not.
it's a whole different world, and Scott D'Amore has done great things there.
They're doing. I wish I could speak better. I didn't like do my practicing
Yeah.
before, but they do ROH better than
Oh my God, yeah.
AEW does ROH.
I'm not
When
even
they
gonna get into that.
invaded, when they invaded Impact Wrestling, they had a great reason for everything. Why do they have a locker room? Why do they have this? Why is this happening? Why? And you're like, well, that makes sense. Holy crap. Like, this is awesome. This is ROH. And then on the other side of things, and I always tell my friends, I'm like, Impact Wrestling has one of the best, I say probably the best women's division, storyline wise. If you want extreme, they have extreme. If you want cruiserweights, they have cruiserweights. If you want your little dose of attitude nostalgia from the 90s, they have that. As explained this past week, what Team 3D showed up and had a match. Everything. They have everything perfectly inserted into Impact, but unfortunately nobody watches it because they think it's still TNA and Dixie Carter, unfortunately.
Yeah, Dixie Carter really
That
screwed the image up, but
stigma.
they're coming back. I think they're doing really good now. They're in a
That
good spot, and I think you're going to see their viewership continue to increase over time.
Yeah.
that stigma you're both referring to as a casual fan who only started rewatching wrestling like literally 4 years ago, I knew
Yeah.
about it, and because I was watching like clips of TNA back, like AJ Styles, Samoa Joe. I was very
Yeah.
interested in what they were doing. So when I was not a wrestling fan, I was watching that, and then Sting was over there, and I was very interested. But that stigma has carried into AEW, and they're not making it any better because they brought in Jeff Jarrett, and that's a lot of people have been calling them like NWA, WCW. Like they're
TNA,
trying too hard to copy.
Sanjay Dutt,
Yeah,
Jay Lethal, the
yeah.
whole.
Like people like it's like too much TNA feeling. Just so that
Yeah, I mean,
stigma's
but
real. That's a
that's
real
Tony.
stigma.
It's Tony Khan's fault though. He's the one that's doing all this. He's the one making the calls, right?
Who writes
Yeah.
the
So
checks, right?
yeah, who writes the check? Tony Khan, and he's the one that likes to make sure he controls every little cog in this machine, and the machine isn't doing that right now.
Yeah.
Outside of Wembley, how are their ticket sales again? How are their ratings?
Yeah, unfortunately, man.
It's
It
very
stinks,
unfortunate because
yeah.
they have talent. They have real
They do.
talent there.
Would they be getting $1 million though? Because remember back in the day when they
No.
said that they were going to go live on the West Coast, and that's going to affect their viewership because people are still at work and they're not going to be able to hit that million. I still feel like sometimes they might have,
I think they could have hit $1 million.
Yeah, that, and I always feel like I was a huge AEW fan in the beginning. I feel like the pandemic hit them hard, big time. That messed up their flow big time. And I loved what they used to do during the pay-per-views. Remember with the lights, the entrance, they used to have like the bracelets that would light up with the entrance theme songs of wrestlers. I was a fan of that and everything. And I'm like, I believe that, hey, Darby Allin could become a champion. I believed Pac could be a champion, but then Pac was stuck overseas. He couldn't play in that game. And then it became
Darby Allin is a star waiting. He is their Jeff Hardy. I'm sorry. It's a fact. I'm watching for Darby Allin, and my wife's super casual, and she's like, dude, this dude's nuts, but he's got a good look. You got kids that are going to want to look up to him. And like, I think that's the big thing, man, that we talk about a lot is like our general love for AEW is also like, again, we just want to see them do the things that are going to bring in more fans. This isn't for us, we'll watch it regardless, but like, you got to capitalize on these people. You got to build these people. You got to make them consistent. I don't know how much people care about Jungle Boy Jack Perry, but like, should he be developed more than a Darby Allin? I can't say yes or no. I don't know that a lot of the topper, the more upper guys really deserve that spot better than your Darby Allins. And hopefully Swerve now takes one of those spots because he's really positioned himself well, or Daniel Bryan.
And he deserves
we
it.
could go on.
It's funny with Swerve too. I talk hell of crap about him online, and then I bumped into him backstage, and he doesn't know it was me, and he's super cool and like humble and everything. And I'm like,
down to earth guy,
damn,
right?
What was that again?
He's down to earth, isn't he?
Very cool, very professional.
Very calm. Yeah.
I'm rooting for him hard, man. Like, I just want to see
that
him
guy
succeed.
now. I mean, when he first got released from WWE, I was like, whatever, okay. But man, the guy is killing it right now.
But then, is it because this is when I get into the little rumors and gossips and BS that gets people like talking? I heard the only reason why he has that position is because of Williams. I forgot his name. Somebody Williams. He used to work with Rhapsody on Fightful, and now he's like the social media ambassador. And he does.
Will Washington.
Will Washington, and that's his cousin, and they're related. So I don't know if he has any. I doubt that he has any pull, but it's sort of. I could go down a little rabbit hole of negativity, but I'm still cheering for him though. So I want him to.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, this guy's talented, and he's showcasing his talents to us, and that's all we can ask for in this case. Whether
that is the business,
he got there one way or not.
That is, yeah.
That is the business. I mean, Triple H will even tell you. I mean, like he did a promo I think against CM Punk where he says like the difference between you and I is I'm going to tell them I'm going to walk over them to get to where I want to go. So that's real. That's not like that's not fully a work. That's super shoot right there. So. But if he can't
into a shoot, brother,
if he can't take the ball, swerve and run with it, which thankfully they're giving him. I think they're building him probably better than they've ever built anyone because he's not just wrestling; he's also doing vignettes. He's doing a lot of original backstage. Whether or not you liked him, basically, murdering Nick Wayne. I mean, it was still a backstage segment that was very unique to the product, right?
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I mean, I think the guy's got a lot going for him. Hopefully, AEW kind of picks up some of this stuff and realizes what they got to do. And I am also excited to see what Impact does.
They said there's a new era approaching, so I don't know what that's about. Let's see.
We're gonna find out.
Different day.
The new era.
The new era
of Tony Khan running more stuff into the ground.
No. We're gonna pray. We're gonna hope it's something bigger and better.
Yeah. I am.
And with that, Swerve, bring us home, man. Talk to us about what you're doing, what you got lined up. Give yourself that promo that I wish I could give you, but I gave you everything I had in the beginning. I hope that was good enough. Talk to us, man.
All right, let's see if I can do it. Good evening, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. This is your boy here, Swerve Show, live on the podcast with Fog Jones and as the Mass J. Thank you for letting me be on. I'm on all social media, podcast platforms, etc. as the Swerve Show, mostly on Twitter. Unfortunately, I'm hating on AEW, but a lot of people on Twitter don't know that I actually like watching AEW. I'm a hate watcher. Like Howard Stern says, most of his fans come from people that hate watching and listening to him so they can complain. But I love talking about wrestling. And I'm out of breath right now, so...
That was a lot. That was a lot.
Killed it.
I had to keep up with you in the beginning, but I'm this Swerve Show. I just love talking about wrestling. I got at
when
it.
When are you on?
Is it sporadic or are you on a schedule? Sporadic. It used to be on after like Raw reviews Wednesdays and that, but it burnt me out big time.
It's too much. I won't do it.
It is so.
Yeah, and that's why we chose once a week and Sundays. Yeah. But hey, if you got a show, you never know when the Mass J just might pop up.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Love to be on with you, man.
Too.
Yeah, I'd love to join you sometime, and if you will, say it live. You don't have to, but love to have you back on here. We'll send you the schedule. Definitely. We got some openings in November or December. I'll have to double check, but I'll send some stuff over to you this week, and love to have you back, man. It was good chatting with you.
Heck yeah. Definitely. Thank you very much, guys.
No All right, guys.
Have a good one.
Oh, you have a good one.
Thanks for listening to Not Another Wrestling Talk Show. We hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. You can also find us on X/Twitter, @TheFogJones and @FeedYourMask. Your support helps us continue making this show and bringing you more great content. Thanks again, and we'll see you next time.